Spence have enough activity. I would like to see Spence do well, but Tszyu's a tough guy too.
Yeah. Did you know his father at all, Katsu?
Yes, I met his father.
Yeah, hell of a fighter.
Yeah, very tough.
Yeah. And then I asked him.
I think the son, the father might be tougher. I think the son's a better fighter. The father's probably tougher though, but I think the son, his moves, he's a better fighter.
That's a hard call, but I'm going with Errol. I'm hoping Errol can withstand the onslaught that Tszyu gonna probably put out early, because if you get past 4 or 5 rounds, Errol definitely gonna beat him. Because Errol, to me, is stronger later than anybody fight. You get him past round 6, and you got a problem with your hand. I don't care who it is. Especially if he ain't beat up or nothing in the face. If you get to round 6, you got a problem, because that's when he starts to come alive.
You know, I think that's a great fight for both of them, because it's winnable for both of them. Me and my boy Tszyu had a little wager on if him and Spence fought each other, who will win. And I had to back Spence because that's what I believe in. But, you know, I'm not the one fighting, so at the end of the day, I'm not the one that controls who win or lose.
Everyone seems to have an opinion about the Errol Spence versus Tim Tszyu showdown. But when some of boxing's most respected voices begin sharing their predictions, people naturally start paying much closer attention. Their experience and insight bring an entirely different perspective to one of the sport's most anticipated matchups.
What concerns me is Spence. He's saying he doesn't know if he wants to fight after this fight. He hasn't fought in 3 years. He's going up 2 weight classes.
I feel like both guys are at the crossroads.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why it's 50-50. You know what I mean? I think that Tim Tszyu can be very well at the end of his career. If he can't beat a guy that's been off for 3 years like y'all talking about, then what?
It's a wrap.
Then he's a wrap.
Except that if Errol Spence is a decent percentage of what he used to be, what can Tim Tszyu really do to beat him? Errol Spence was functioning on a higher level. But the question is, whatever, and there's a separate thing, what does Tim Tszyu have left? But he's at least not saying things that make you believe he doesn't really want to do this anymore. The way Spence is talking makes it sound like, and boxing is the kind of game, and you know better than anyone here, and you know what we're playing a violent sport, what means that if a football player's like, I don't want to run through that brick wall anymore, he's basically done. If a fighter starts talking like about stuff after boxing and he's not really into it anymore, what does that mean?
Respected figures such as Mike Tyson, Terrence Crawford, Timothy Bradley, and several other well-known voices in boxing have all shared their predictions, and their opinions have only deepened the divide across the boxing world. With so many experienced minds seeing the fight differently, fans remain split on how this highly anticipated matchup will unfold.
We talk about the wrinkles in the game, right? I'm listening to the kid, I'm talking to the kid, I'm like, what wrinkle do you have? I haven't asked him that, but I'm just thinking to myself, like, I think, to the point where you were saying, I think you're coming into this thing like you're Errol Spence Jr. that's just always going to be Errol Spence Jr. and no one can be Errol Spence Jr. And to me, that's a problem. I think he has to have a wrinkle. What I mean by that is specific things that he does that are going to offset what Tim Tszyu does. Prior to ever, I don't think he's really ever said, I'm not going to do that tonight because this is what that guy does well. I'm going to be me and you got to beat me. And that's literally how he's thinking and feeling now. And I'm like, that could be a problem for him because you get in the ring underestimating him because you're overestimating yourself. And you look up and now we feel like Tim Tszyu's going to win this fight.
Many of them are still backing Errol Spence. They remember the fighter who ruled the welterweight division, traveled into Kell Brook's home country to capture the world title, and spent years proving he belonged among boxing's very best. For those supporting Spence, a 3-year absence doesn't simply erase the experience, ring intelligence, timing, or championship mindset that made him one of the elite fighters of his generation.
Yeah, I don't have to come back, but that's one of those things, like, why not? I started training, I started, feeling good, feeling way better than I was feeling, and it's just something in me. Just got the intuition just to come back and just start training, and it just started rolling over for there. Because at first, like, I trained for a couple of days, and then I'm like, nah, and then I trained for a week or two, and I'm like, nah, I'll take 3-4 days off. But like, this was the first time, like, I started training. Then I never stopped. Like, I just started going. And then I got to where I was like, man, it's time. I'm ready to fight again. So now we're here.
Then there's the other side of the argument, with many people looking at Tim Tszyu and saying, hold on a second. They're seeing a younger, naturally bigger fighter competing in front of his home crowd against an opponent who hasn't fought professionally since 2023. That's a significant factor. Tszyu has remained active, faced difficult tests, and now has Jeff Finach adding another experienced voice to his corner. That's exactly why opinions on this fight are becoming so divided. Some are placing their faith in the champion Errol Spence has already proven himself to be, while others are backing the fighter they believe Tim Tszyu is steadily becoming. And that's the one question no interview, prediction, or press conference can truly answer.
We're all here for one reason. That's to, first of all, to make Tim feel great, and then my job is to train him. On Sunday, it comes down to one thing. If Errol makes us fight his fight, Errol will be successful. Tim can do the opposite, which I'm 100% sure we have the plan, and I have the athlete to do that, and we will be successful. So all of a sudden, Errol's going to have to do something he's never done before. He's never fought Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu's not Garcia, he's none of those guys. Tim's a unique, amazing pressure fighter that hopefully is doing things now without less mistakes, and that always helps.
Terrence Crawford knows firsthand what it feels like to stand across the ring from Errol Spence. Timothy Bradley understands better than most how a long layoff can affect a fighter. And Mike Tyson has seen throughout his career how a single night can completely change a boxer's legacy. Everyone can break down the film, study the styles, and make their prediction. But once the opening bell sounds, every opinion is put to the test. So, is Errol Spence about to remind the boxing world why so many people still have faith in him? Or will Tim Tszyu deliver the performance that forces an entire generation of boxing experts to rethink everything they believe? The answers are almost here.
I don't really think of what's going to go forward. I purely just think of this is the biggest moment of my career, and I'm here to take it with both hands.
Given how you trained, given how you've seen how your camp has, unfolded, what do you see in your mind happening in the fight?
Oh man, I'm super confident from what I've been doing in the ring. In sparring, I haven't been getting hit much at all, actually. And that plays a big part. Coming in rejuvenated, my hands are flowing, my body's flowing. I'm not boiling myself down to a certain weight. So in God's hands, we're gonna take the fight to him, let my hands go, and hopefully we get a nice and early stop.
Once the predictions begin pouring in, Teddy Atlas adds another layer to the debate and makes the fight even more difficult to predict. Teddy isn't focused on reputations alone. He's focused on what those reputations represent today. He openly admits that part of him wants to back Errol Spence, and it's easy to understand his reasoning. According to Teddy, Spence has already fought and won at a level that Tim Tszyu has not yet demonstrated inside the ring. That's a major point in Spence's favor. But then Teddy pauses and reminds everyone of the biggest questions surrounding this fight. We're not evaluating Errol Spence, who dominated years ago. We're judging the version returning after 3 years without an official bout. That uncertainty is what ultimately pushes Teddy toward picking Tim Tszyu.
I'm not saying Tszyu's an elite guy. He's not Joe Frazier. I'm not saying that. And it wasn't 5 years. But again, McGregor showed it was 5 years. But he showed that it's really hard to do, if not impossible to do. And here is Spence with 3 years off, coming back at a different weight class and seeing if he could get it done against a guy who has been knocked out, against a guy whose talent never showed itself to be the level Spence's was when Spence was at that level. But we don't know what Spence is now. We have no idea what level Spence is now.
Teddy continues returning to the issue of inactivity, bringing up legends like Muhammad Ali and even Conor McGregor as examples of how long layoffs can quietly impact timing, reflexes, and overall rhythm. It's a fair point. At the same time, Errol Spence wasn't spending those 3 years sitting around doing nothing. Ronnie Shields has already explained that Spence never stopped putting in the work. Even so, there's a big difference between staying in shape and competing under the bright lights. Teddy isn't willing to give Spence the benefit of the doubt until he proves it inside the ring. On the other side, Tim Tszyu enters the fight with youth, recent activity, natural size, and the support of an Australian home crowd, giving him several advantages that are difficult to ignore.
At the end of the day, if you're asking me for a pick, again, I'd love to pick Spence. I would. I really would. I'll be honest. But being at home and Tszyu being, active, there's too many question marks about Spence. Tszyu, even with the flaws in him, I know what I'm getting. And I think that probably would be enough for me if I had to bet on a fight to favor Tszyu in this one. But who knows? Who knows? You know, but I do know that the past has told us that when you're inactive that long, that alone can be a real problem.
In the end, Teddy leans toward Tim Tszyu because he feels there's simply more certainty about what Tim is bringing into the ring right now. Even so, Teddy never sounds completely convinced by his own prediction, and that's what makes his analysis so compelling. He also raises questions about Jeff Fenech's influence, wondering whether the methods of a legendary fighter always translate perfectly when coaching someone else. Maybe Jeff has unlocked a new level in Tim, or maybe he's steering him toward a style that could play directly into Errol Spence's strengths. The truth is, nobody knows. So while Teddy ultimately picks Tszyu, his prediction almost feels like it comes with an invisible asterisk beside it. And when even Teddy Atlas sounds like he's leaving room to be proven wrong, you know this is the kind of fight that could go either way.
I know that Tszyu has a legendary former champion now training him.
Fenech.
And Jeff Fenech. And I sometimes you could say, wow, that's a good thing. I don't know if it's all. We'll find out. I don't know if it's always. Maybe it is. I don't know if it always is. Because I've seen former fighters. I've been in the trenches seeing it. Where former fighters, some of them become like Buddy McGurk, became a really good trainer. Andy Lee, become a really good trainer. But some of them don't. Some of Roy Jones didn't quite get there to that. And sometimes it's because they try to impose what they did onto the other. And it can't happen all the time that way. Not everyone could do what you did. Not everyone could do that.
That same uncertainty Teddy Atlas keeps pointing to doesn't go away when Paulie Molajaki weighs in. If anything, Paulie sees the exact same puzzle and admits there are still too many unanswered questions. He says both Errol Spence and Tim Tszyu have looked calm and composed throughout fight week, describing the atmosphere as the calm before the storm. And that may be the most accurate way to put it because no one truly knows what will happen once the opening bell rings. Paulie's biggest concern is straightforward. Which version of each fighter will actually show up? With Tszyu, there's at least recent footage to judge. We've seen his strengths, his weaknesses, and have a solid idea of where he currently stands. Spence, however, remains the biggest unknown. After 3 years away from official competition, Paulie isn't pretending to have answers that nobody else has. What makes his prediction especially intriguing is that he expects the fight to end before the final bell, but he refuses to say which fighter will have his hand raised in victory.
I mean, we're going to get a lot of answers on fight night, but how do you make a prediction on a fight like this? It's very, very difficult. You got Tim, who's been in the ring but not been consistent, as far as the way he's fought, right? Errol's not been in the ring at all, so, what version of Errol do you see, considering the last time you saw him, he didn't look so good at all, So it could be anything, I think everybody agrees that they're on the other side of their best, but who's got more left and who's got, enough left to make one last push and one last run in this.
That isn't Paulie sitting on the fence. It's simply recognizing how unusual this matchup really is. If Errol Spence still possesses the timing, relentless pressure, and durability that once made him one of boxing's elite, Tim Tszyu could suddenly find himself facing a level of opposition unlike anything he's experienced before. But if those 3 years away have taken even a small step away from Spence's game, Tszyu is exactly the kind of strong, relentless opponent capable of exposing it in a hurry. Paulie also emphasized that the winner immediately becomes a major player at either 154 or 160 pounds. This isn't just a sentimental comeback where both fighters move on afterward. There is real opportunity waiting for whoever comes out on top. Teddy Atlas leans towards Tszyu because he trusts recent activity, while Paulie refuses to pick a winner because he doesn't believe the available evidence tells the full story. Ironically, that uncertainty makes the fight even more fascinating. Everyone wants a clear prediction, but Paulie believes the opening rounds will reveal far more about Errol Spence than 3 years of speculation ever could.
There's also Tim or Errol could stay at middleweight. Who knows, right?
You think they will, Paulie?
I think Tim would. I'm not sure about Errol. Errol was a big welter. I think Errol could give himself options at either weight class.
Back to 54, maybe.
Maybe back to 54. But either way, the winner of this fight, no matter if it's a 54 or 60, becomes one of the major names at either of the weight classes. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. As far as trying to predict the fight, I think the fight ends in a stoppage one way or the other, but I don't know who to.
While Paulie Malignaggi prefers to wait until the opening rounds before making his pick, Jeff Mayweather has no hesitation in backing Errol Spence. What makes Jeff's prediction so compelling is that he's not ignoring the fact Spence has been out of the ring for 3 years. He openly admits the comeback won't be easy, but then turns that argument around. In Jeff's view, the extended break may have given Spence the time he needed to recover, reset mentally, and return without rushing into another unnecessary fight. Spence has never been the type of fighter to chase easy victories just to pad his record. Jeff also believes Tim Tszyu is the right opponent because he has endured his own difficult battles in recent years. To him, this matchup is no longer about which fighter is flawless, but about whose strengths remain intact once the pressure rises and the fight becomes uncomfortable.
Expecting a good performance from Spence. I think Tszyu is probably gonna press the fight like he normally does, but I also think that if the crowd play a big part in this, he's gonna take even more risks. And that can backfire.
Jeff also addressed the move up in weight, and he doesn't view 160 pounds as a major concern. In his opinion, Spence was always a naturally large welterweight, so carrying a few extra pounds after such a lengthy layoff could actually work in his favor, but the key point Jeff keeps emphasizing is the jab. He believes that's the foundation of Spencer's entire game plan. If Errol can establish his jab early, control the center of the ring, and force Tim Tszyu to keep resetting instead of constantly pressing forward, the familiar rhythm that made Spence so dominant could quickly return. Of course, fighting in front of Tszyu's home crowd adds another layer to the challenge. Jeff believes the atmosphere could inspire Tim, but it could also tempt him into taking unnecessary risks he normally wouldn't. That's where things become dangerous because a crowd of 20,000 can convince a fighter that every exchange has to become a highlight. In the end, Jeff gives Spence the edge, believing his overall skill set is superior and even leaving the door open for a stoppage victory. But he also offers one important warning. Spence cannot leave Australia with a close or controversial result. Jeff's message is straightforward. If Errol wants to erase every doubt surrounding his comeback, he needs to win in a way that leaves absolutely no room for debate.
I think that Errol is gonna win, but we all know that if it's any kind of way close, he's not getting no decision in Australia. So Errol's gonna have to have a dominant performance to actually win the fight. But I think that Errol possibly can even knock him out. But I think either one of them can win by knockout. But I think that Errol has a better chance. I just think they had better skill.
The predictions have been made, but the biggest question still hasn't been answered. Some believe Errol Spence is about to remind the boxing world exactly why he was considered one of the sport's elite, while others are convinced Tim Tszyu's use, weekend activity, and hometown advantage will be the deciding factors. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Who do you think comes out on top, Errol Spence or Tim Tszyu? Let us know your prediction in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more boxing news, analysis, and updates. We'll catch you in the next one.